introduction, I will go directly into the story, The Runaway, and then we'll open it up for questions if there are any in the audience. I left you behind to find me. Walked away from all I knew to be better. Searched and found. Found love, found me. But now I'm back and ready to live again. The door stretched quietly open as his size 10.5 lightly touched down on the front porch. He quickly jumped off the brick platform and then started moving faster towards the edge of the yard. He paused when he reached the point he could cross over into the road. He looked back at the house, filling a pair of eyes, calmly watching through closed blinds, before turning his face forward in the direction of darkness and uncertainty. He ran on thick gravel for what seemed like hours, eyes red and body soaked. His t-shirt had a rip in the middle and was spotted with dots of blood. His jeans were wet, his knees black. His lung released heavy air as he ran up the hill and followed the deep curve of the road. He had been in constant motion for nearly 15 minutes, and after tripping over a branch lining the road, he slowed down to a fast-paced walk. His mind was running faster than the road than he had been, but all he could think about was getting out of that house. This wasn't the first time he thought about running, but it was the first time he had actually done it. When he reached the end of the road, he tiptoed into the woods, constantly firing up his lighter to guide him along an overgrown path to what he considered his safe haven. This place of shelter was an old abandoned shed deep in the woods, about a half-mile off the main road. He had found the place by accident the first time. He had been walking home from the bus stop one day, and instead of turning towards his house, he hiked down the road and then kept going, right past the road end sign. He strolled through the leaves, listening to never break under his feet, to squirrels hop between the trees, and to the strange sounds coming from deep in the woods. After about 30 minutes of aimless wandering, he'd seen the building and rushed inside to see in it. No fear had entered his mind as he pushed open the wooden door and crept inside. Once he sauntered in, he felt this abandoned place was all his own, like it was there for him to find and keep all to himself. Tonight was different. This wasn't just his hideout anymore, a place to hang out when things got bad. This had now become a place to lay his head until he could figure out what came next. He looked down at the torn t-shirt and pulled it over his head. He tossed it on the floor beside him and examined his arms and chest for bruises and cuts, noticing the old scars. He'd finally done it. Finally stood up to the man he had feared all his life, his dad. He'd gotten tired of the fights, tired of watching his mom block punches and forearms, with forearms thrown up in front of her face, or a knee lifted to deter a hit to the stomach. So this time he stepped in. He stood in front of his dad's 6'5" frame like a man and dared him to be his mother again. "Boy, you better get out my face before I fuck your little ass up," he said aloud, mimicking his dad, standing in the exact same position, facing down the thought of his dad being in his presence. "Don't hit my mama no more. I said move before I hurt you. Not until you leave her alone." He felt his mom's hand touch his tight fist. "Baby, just do what he say. This between me and your daddy. You best listen to her. If you such a man, hit me. You coward, stop beating on a woman and hit me." In the blink of an eye, his dad had raised his fist and swung for his face. He ducked and caught his dad's lip with the right hook, and then punched him again with his left until he fell to the floor. He dropped down on top of his father, pounding whatever was in reach until anger had transformed into hate. That hatred made its way to his fists, fingers, hands, as he wrapped them around his dad's neck and began to choke what life he had in him. His mom sat in the corner crying, begging him to stop before he killed him. He focused on his dad's eyes as they rolled